The Shadow Work and Pensions Secretary, Jonathan Ashworth. Hi. Unintended consequences of free speech if they didn't take that particular bit out of the bill.
I'm not sure that's entirely correct. It looks like they've weakened the bill or proposing to weaken the bill. I'm very concerned about anti-Semitic content that you can find on social media, about racist content.
That would be illegal.
Well, would it though? I mean, there are concerns that what the government are proposing waters down the legislation, and that some of this obnoxious, foul material, which does circulate on social media, will still be allowed to circulate. So, that there are. I mean, my other deep concern about social media is the way it impacts on teenagers, young people. We know that we've had absolutely tragic consequences of young people being able to find awful material on social media. Admittedly, that was a few years ago, but I think we have to do more to protect everybody who uses social media.
We're going to do that, the government says, by verifying ages.
Well, I mean, let's see what they're actually proposing. I know, because I've got two children. I've got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old. I know, because I've spotted them doing it, how easy it is for them to get round some of this age verification stuff. So, I mean, let's actually see what they propose.
And if that happens, then the big media companies, the big social media companies, will have to pay up to a 10% fine for their gross earnings.
Well, I mean, let's see. I mean, I just know from my own personal experience as a father that my clever 11-year-olds, and when I say clever, I don't mean they're, geniuses. I just mean they know how to manipulate these things, are able to get onto social media. I mean, my 9-year-old, I found out, had set herself up a TikTok account and she was dancing on it. So, and then she was dancing on my own TikTok account. And although in fairness, I did get a message from TikTok telling me I'd been suspended because my 9-year-old had been using my MP account to post pictures of herself dancing to Little Mix. Okay. So I'm now back on it. If any of your viewers want to watch me on TikTok, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Do you dance to Little Mix?
Not on TikTok.
But just to say, your 11-year-old and your 9-year-old daddy thinks that you're really clever, so bear that in mind when it comes to Christmas presents, OK? He's told the whole world that you're very clever. Talk to me about jobs.
Yeah.
What is Labour going to do about all of these strikes that's going to cripple the country?
Well, those strikes are a symptom of the economic failure that we're currently experiencing. You've got 12 years of low economic growth, which in turn has meant 12 years of wage squeezes. That's why workers are going on strike, because they want fair pay settlements in the face of this raging inflation. Now, one of the things that I'm talking about today is that we need to deal with the increasing numbers of the over 50s who have left the labour market, and increasing numbers of people who are out of work because of sickness, costing up to $8 billion or over $8 billion extra a year on the benefit bill. Many of those people say they want to go back to work and would go back to work with the right tailored help and support, but they're not getting it from the government. They're completely left behind. Only 1 in 10 disabled people and older people are getting any help whatsoever from the government. I don't think it's good enough to write people off. I'm going to reform the system. I'm going to devolve more power and resources to local areas to give people the help to return to work.
A lot of you pay nurses 17% pay rise.
Well, the nurses are going to have to negotiate. Now, this health secretary has said, oh, my door is always open. But that's a kind of passive response. The health secretary Steve Barclay, he should get the nurses in and he should negotiate with them in good faith. And I think there is a deal to be done, because in the nurses' pay band...
Would you pay them 17%?
Well, I think there's 8 different pay bands that nurses are under, yeah? And one of the pay bands has, I think, 4 different bits within it. So it's a very complicated payment structure across the different pay bands. There must be a way of doing a deal within that. Also, the nurses are not just striking because of pay, they're also striking because of rota gaps. They want safe staffing on their wards. It's bad for patients and their families that we have too few nurses, which is why we also need a big plan to recruit more nurses.
If Labour was in power at the moment, would you pay above inflation pay rises?
Well, if Labour was in power, we would be getting the health unions...
but would you pay above inflation pay rises?
But when you've got...
You've not got the money.
When you've got 8 different pay bands, and one of the pay bands
more generally?
Well, because my point is, within that overall framework, I think there is a deal to be done which deals with fair pay, but deals with rota gaps by giving commitments on recruitment, and also deals with other things like childcare access, flexible working, which deals with things like the support that you get on the ward, there's very little of that at the moment. I think a deal could be done, but Steve Barclay needs to needs to bring the health unions to him to do that deal. Instead of just saying, oh, my door is open. And that's a sort of passive response. Okay. If we have a strike on in the NHS this winter,
well,
we know it will be absolutely terrible.
Yeah, of course it will.
And the ball is in the government's court. If we have a strike, it's their fault for not gripping this situation now.
Something else that would have been terrible, and it pricked up my ears when I was watching Sarah Jane on Sky News yesterday afternoon. We were that far away from having problems with our national grid during the game tonight. What's that all about?
Well, I mean, this just tells you what happens when, look, we've spent years now, the government has refused to invest sufficiently in renewable energy sources, and we're still having this big argument in politics, or the Tory party, again, is this week's Tory party argument, where they're round each other's throats.
But how would you fix it? I mean,
well, let's go for onshore wind as one of the things we should be doing. But the Tory party are completely arguing amongst themselves on this. You know, you'll have different Tory MPs coming on Sky News all day long, you know, going at it hammer and tongs with each other when they should be putting the country first. So you need renewable energy. You do need to do more to secure your energy supplies. We'd set up something called Great Britain Energy as a vehicle to invest in renewable energy for the future, because we need to become sustainable. We've seen what happens when we're so reliant on volatile international energy markets. But I mean, why the Tory party are just sort of ripping themselves apart?
It's quite alarming, but thankfully National Grid put out a note saying that is not going to happen, at least for now. We'll keep an eye on that. Who are you going to support tonight?
Well, I'm going to support England, obviously.
Why, obviously?
Because I'm an England fan.
OK.
I'm an England fan, but, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we do want Wales to go through as well. But, I mean, I can't sort of...
So you
play games. I can't play games.
You'd be happy for England to lose.
No, I wouldn't, because that's gaming the system, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's gaming the system. It's a difficult one. You know, it's a bit like
tapping your heels now.
It's a bit like when Leicester City play Wigan. I want Leicester City to win, but I like Wigan to do well.
I hear what you're saying. Just before I let you go, where are we on this one love armband stuff?
Well, I mean, I think it's ridiculous the way FIFA caved in like that. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, football doesn't belong to FIFA. It doesn't belong to Qatar. It belongs to the people. And I think the England players should have been allowed to wear those armbands. And if I had one, I'd wear one, but I don't actually have one.
We'll get you one. Prediction for the score?
2-1.
OK, we'll see. Next time you're on. Oh, and who did you? OK, one. I know we're out of time. I want to, given that I've got a football fan on the sofa, will we beat France?
Of course we will.
Everyone's laughing in my ear.
What?
Let's see what happens.
Sky News production team, the Kate Burley production team are laughing at the idea that England will beat France.
Well, and Joe behind the camera as well. It's nice to see you. We'll see you soon. Thanks a lot. Thank you.